All right, get ready because today we're diving into the Netherlands.
I'm excited about this one.
You sent us this awesome video, Wonders of the Netherlands, and wow, canals and windmills and art and flowers.
Sounds incredible already. What were your first impressions?
Oh, definitely stunning visuals. I mean, those colorful houses along the canals, just gorgeous. But then I got to the facts, and I'm like, hold on a sec.
What surprised you the most?
More bikes than people, seriously. That's wild.
It's true. Over 20 million bikes in a country with a population of around 17 million. They're truly committed to cycling. It's part of their everyday life.
See, and that's what I love about these deep dives. You uncover these little details that make a place unique.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
not just about the picture-perfect moments, but understanding what shapes a place and its people.
Right. Okay, another fact that blew my mind. The Netherlands is the world's largest tulip producer. Over 4 billion bulbs a year.
It's a massive industry for them, and it goes way back. Have you heard of tulip mania? Back in the 17th century, people were trading tulip bulbs like currency.
Wait, really? Tulip bulbs as money?
Oh yeah, it's a crazy story. Economic boom and bust, all thanks to these colorful flowers. We could do a whole deep dive on that alone.
Okay, now you have to tell me more about that later. But first, let's talk about this 1/3 of the Netherlands is below sea level.
That's right, talk about a challenge. They've had to become masters of water management. Windmills, dikes, incredible engineering. They've been adapting and innovating for centuries.
It really makes you appreciate the power of human ingenuity.
Absolutely.
Speaking of impressive feats, let's talk about Amsterdam, particularly those famous canals. Ah, yes, the canals.
Over 100 kilometers. That's more than Vanuatu. What makes them so special?
It's not just about the beauty, though they are gorgeous. The canal ring is actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Those canals were the lifeblood of Amsterdam, essential for trade, transportation, you name it. Imagine back in the 17th century, merchant ships from all over the world sailing down those waterways.
Wow, what a sight that must have been.
Can you imagine?
It's amazing how the city has evolved, though. Now, instead of those merchant ships, you've got these charming little canal boats. I bet exploring the city from the water is a whole different experience.
It's magical, truly unique. And speaking of unique experiences, Amsterdam has more museums per square meter than any other city in the world.
Oh, wow. I knew they loved their museums, but that's impressive. With so many to choose from, where do you even begin? That's the hard part. For those iconic Dutch masters, you can't miss the Rijksmuseum. They have Rembrandt's The Night Watch there, among countless other treasures.
Oh, I've heard that.
And of course, for the art lovers, the Van Gogh Museum is a must. The largest collection of Van Gogh's work anywhere.
Those are definitely going on my list. But beyond the museums, what about this floating flower market I saw? That sounds incredible.
The Bloemenmarkt. It's been around since 1862. It's exactly what it sounds like, a flower market, but on barges floating on the canal.
So cool.
Oh, it's an explosion of colors and scents.
I can only imagine. Okay, so we've got canals, museums, flowers, and of course all those bikes. Amsterdam seems like a melting pot of experiences.
It truly is. Amsterdam has a long history as a major trading hub, and that's led to an incredibly diverse population. People from over 180 nationalities live there. You see that diversity everywhere you look. Food, festivals, everything.
It sounds like there's something for everyone in Amsterdam. But this video you sent also highlighted some amazing places outside the capital. I'm excited to dive into those.
Oh, you're in for a treat. The Netherlands has so much more to offer beyond Amsterdam. Have you ever heard of Zandse Schans?
Zancy Shawns. I feel like I have, but remind me.
Picture this, a picturesque little village, frozen in time, complete with historic windmills, traditional houses, clog workshops. They even have cheese farms.
Zancy Shawns, right, with all the windmills. It sounds incredible, like a little piece of history.
It really is, and those windmills, they're not just for show, you know.
Oh, yeah, they still work.
A lot of them are. They use them for all sorts of things, like grinding spices, even sawing wood. And the cheese farms.
Okay, tell me more about the cheese. What kind of cheese are we talking about here?
You'll find all the classics. Gouda, Adam. Often made the traditional way.
Dangerous for a cheese lover like me. Okay, what about those Keukenhof gardens? 7 million flower bulbs? That's just mind-blowing. Have you ever been?
It's something else. Especially in the spring. It's like an ocean of color, tulips, hyacinths, daffodils. Everywhere you look.
Wow. Is there a best time to see it? You know, when the blooms are at their peak?
Mid-April is usually prime time for the tulips. But it can change a bit depending on the weather, so it's always a good idea to double-check before you book your flights.
Good advice. And what about Kinderdijk? What's the story with all those windmills?
So Kinderdijk is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's a perfect example of how the Dutch have mastered water management.
With windmills.
Exactly. These windmills, they date back to the 18th century, and they were built to control the water levels, which was a constant battle in such a low-lying region.
It's incredible how they used technology even back then to solve these problems.
Absolutely.
You know, it's funny. We often think of the Netherlands as this flat country, and while that's true geographically, it's clear that there's so much depth here. History, culture, innovation.
You're right. It's a country full of surprises.
Speaking of surprises, let's move on to some of these other cities. What about The Hague? It seems a bit more, I don't know, official than the other places we've talked about.
Yeah, it's definitely got a more political vibe, being the seat of the Dutch government and home to the International Court of Justice.
Right. But it's not all work and no play, is it?
Oh, definitely not. The Hague has it all. Stunning palaces, gorgeous beaches, and, of course, amazing museums.
Don't forget about Vermeer's Girl with a Pearl Earring. That's at the Mauritshuis, right?
That's the one. It's a must-see if you're an art lover. But there's so much more to see. The Peace Palace, Noordeinde Palace, Scheveningen Beach.
Okay, you've convinced me The Hague is going on the list. What about Delft? All I can picture are those canals lined with blue and white pottery.
You've got it. Delftware. It's been produced there since the 17th century, and it's just as beautiful in person as it is in pictures.
I can imagine. It sounds like my kind of place. Lots of strolling, soaking up the atmosphere.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Delft has that charming, laid-back vibe, similar to Amsterdam, but with its own unique character.
I like it. Okay, last but not least, Rotterdam. This one sounds totally different. The video mentions something about modern architecture. Really.
It's a completely different vibe. Rotterdam is like the phoenix of the Netherlands. After being heavily bombed during World War II, they rebuilt it with this incredibly bold, modern architecture.
So it's a city reborn, kind of. What kind of architecture are we talking about? Give me some examples.
Think cube houses. They're literally tilted at a 45-degree angle.
Whoa, seriously?
Yeah, and then there's the Erasmus Bridge, this sleek, modern cable-stayed bridge, and the Markthal.
The market.
It's this amazing building, part residential, part market hall, with this incredible arched ceiling covered in artwork.
Wow. Okay, I'm adding Rotterdam to the list for sure. It's amazing, we often focus on the traditional side of a country, the history, the culture, which the Netherlands has in spades, but then you've got these modern marvels too.
Exactly. The Netherlands is full of contrasts, which is what makes it so fascinating.
Okay, so we haven't gotten to every place mentioned in the video, but what jumps out at you? What are you most curious about?
Tough choice. Those wharf cellars in Utrecht sound pretty cool, dining by the water in a cellar. How unique is that?
Right. And Giethorn, the Venice of the North. A village with no roads, just canals. Sign me up.
Giethorn is truly special. It's like stepping back in time. Those quiet canals, little wooden bridges, whisper boats gliding along. It's pure tranquility.
Oh, I can imagine. So peaceful.
And Utrecht with those wharf cellars. They've been around for centuries, originally used for storage, and now they're these cozy restaurants and cafes.
It's amazing how these places evolve, but those little pieces of history remain.
Exactly, and that's what makes exploring a place like the Netherlands so rewarding. You uncover these layers upon layers of stories.
Speaking of stories, we haven't talked about Groningen yet. It sounds like the place to go for a good time. No mandated closing times for bars. That caught my attention.
Right. Groningen is definitely our liveliest city. It's got a young, energetic vibe, thanks to the large student population.
It's got that youthful energy. I love it.
You can climb the Martini Tower, check out the canals, enjoy the nightlife. Groningen's got a bit of everything.
Sounds like my kind of place. And last but not least, Haarlem. Tell me everything.
Haarlem is often overlooked, but it's a real hidden gem. They have the Tailors Museum, the oldest museum in all of the Netherlands, and the Groot Kerk, this incredible Gothic church with a Mueller organ that Mozart actually played.
Mozart played there. That's amazing.
It's pretty special. And then there are the Hofjes, these secret little courtyards tucked away between the houses.
Secret courtyards. I love it.
They date back to the Middle Ages. Some of them, at least.
This is why I love these deep dives. We could honestly spend hours talking about each of these places.
We really could. It's incredible how much diversity is packed into such a small country.
It really makes you realize there's so much more to a place than meets the eye.
Absolutely. And that's what makes exploring so rewarding, right? Uncovering those hidden layers.
Exactly. So after all this exploration, what speaks to you the most? What part of the Netherlands are you adding to your travel bucket list?
It's really tough to choose just one. But if I had to pick, I think I'd be drawn to Giethorn. That tranquility, those canals, just sounds magical.
I get it that Venice of the North vibe is calling my name too. But I have to say, I'm really intrigued by those wharf cellars in Utrecht. Dining by the water, in a cellar, steeped in history, that's a unique experience.
Right. It makes you wonder about the stories those sellers could tell, you know? Centuries of change happening right outside their doors.
It's incredible to think about, and it really highlights something we've seen throughout this whole deep dive. The Netherlands is more than just windmills and tulips. Don't get me wrong, I love those too. But there's this amazing blend of old and new, of innovation and tradition, of energy and tranquility. It's a country that seems to embrace it all.
Well said. It's a place where you can wander through a historic village one day, then explore cutting-edge architecture the next.
Exactly. It's got something for everyone, which is what makes it such a great destination. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious, what about you listening? What's piqued your interest the most? What hidden gems are you going to uncover on your journey through the Netherlands?